right, good afternoon, everybody. Give everybody a chance to file in. Welcome. Glad to have you. My name is Nick Faust, and I'm the communications specialist over in the city manager's office. And on behalf of the entire city team, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for the 2022 Volunteer Appreciation and Awards Ceremony. It's terrific to be back in person for this event. As you may remember, we held it virtually last year, but it is always nice to get face-to-face with our wonderful volunteers. This event aligns with National Volunteer Week, a time when our nation recognizes the efforts of all of our country's volunteers and the many benefits volunteerism brings to our community. It affords the city an opportunity to take a moment and acknowledge the contributions of our volunteers and the work that they do each and every day to make Janesville a great place to live. It's because of that continued commitment provided by our community volunteers that the city is not only able to fulfill but excel in our mission of providing effective and responsive services that sustain Janesville as a community of choice. And when we think about that vision of being a community of choice where all of our residents can realize life's opportunities, that does not happen without the work of our volunteers. Through no compensation or compulsion, over 600 folks, many in this room, commit to service with a spirit of civic duty and a belief in Janesville. That service allows us as a city to reach past our natural constraints, extend resources, add new services, and deepen our partnerships, connecting us with coalitions working to build a better community. In each and every unique way, every volunteer, again, many in this room, leave a tangible positive impact on our community. I certainly hope you all had some time to take the opportunity to view the slideshows playing on our screens here. Many of you will find yourselves featured, but more so than just a nice visual for today's event, I believe that slideshow paints a tremendous picture of just how diverse in scope our volunteers are in service. In Janesville, that starts at the very top with our dedicated city council. While often not acknowledged as such, our council members are indeed volunteers. They dedicate hundreds of hours throughout the year, and as they can attest, the only compensation they receive is the satisfaction of performing their duty to represent their neighbors in the city's decision-making process. Aiding in that function are volunteers from the city's 14 boards, commissions, and committees. Comprised of appointed citizens, these volunteers lend their time to help the city council determine our best path forward. From the Alcohol License Advisory Committee all the way to the Zoning Board of Appeals, these individuals allow the city to make informed and intelligent decisions by applying their expertise and experience. An equally essential process, or part of facilitating that democratic process, election volunteers make it possible for our residents to exercise their right to vote. And just this month, their faithful dedication allowed the city to hold yet another free, fair, and transparent election. Elsewhere in Wisconsin's Park Place, volunteers in our Recreation and Parks divisions continue to extend athletic and leisure opportunities to all of our community's residents and visitors. With over 163,000 participants in recreation programs last year, events like Music at the Marv, the Enchanted Forest, and Janesville's Jolly Jingle would not be possible without the extensive effort of community members who lend their time and talents to those events. Our tremendous friends groups continue to steward their respective parks, making enhancements and inviting folks to enjoy in those spectacular resources. And as we commemorate the centennial anniversary of both Riverside Park and Lions Beach, the Friends of Riverside Park and the Janesville Lions will continue to leave their mark, spearheading those celebrations and adding new amenities to those community spaces. The terrific Friends of the Hedberg Library continue to enhance the HPL with their operation of the ground floor coffee shop, fundraising sales, and countless volunteer hours that extend library services. And those efforts do pay off because, in part, due to the Friends' work, the library was not only named Forward Janesville's Community Educator of the Year, but also took part in a truly astonishing 15,000 virtual or in-person programs, activities, or events last year. That level of outreach, again, does not happen without the tireless work of our volunteers. And finally, in the world of public safety, we cannot help but acknowledge the countless individuals, groups, and businesses throughout Janesville who donate their time and supplies to the JPD and the JFD. Programs like National Night Out or neighborhood outings are made possible by partner organizations and individuals working in tandem with our departments to extend messages of public safety and facilitate meaningful community relationships. And while those examples illustrate only a brief portion of our volunteers' total impact, they demonstrate why we as a city remain incredibly grateful for your service. It is now the city's honor to recognize this dedication further with the announcement of our 2022 Volunteer Award recipients. While each acts uniquely in their service, these awardees share a unifying level of commitment and a distinguishing level of dedication to our community. Nominated by city staff, these individuals were ultimately selected for their embodiment of the volunteer spirit and the impacts of their work. I am now pleased to introduce the staff nominator for this year's Administrative Volunteer of the Year, Director Jane Goldberg of Janesville Mobilizing for Change.
Good afternoon. I'm Jane Goldberg. I'm the director of Janesville Mobilizing for Change, and I have nominated Carrie Kalinski. She has been one of our founding members of JM4C, and she is just amazing. She's always ready to help, and I don't know if she knows she does this, but every time we have a conversation or we're talking, she'll always say, "Let me know what I can do to help." So she's just amazing, and we love her. So.
Well, this was a surprise, so thank you very much. 22 years ago, I started a little committee about alcohol and drugs for the school and the community. For 12 years, that committee, we focused on prevention, intervention, and support services for students, families, staff, and community. In 2011, our funding went away for the school district. So I knew to continue our work, we needed to be a community coalition. So in 2012, we sat down and we built JM4C from the ground up, which was a feat, let me tell you. So we did become a nonprofit. We were able to go after federal funds, which we received. And I was just the gardener that planted the seeds. And you're right, I always say what I can do to help because that's my spirit. So I thank our outstanding staff, the city of Janesville, and our volunteers to help that garden grow and flourish. So thank you for all of that. Here's one of our former staff now.
Thank you again, Carrie. And now, staying over at the library, presenting this year's Library Volunteer of the Year, Staff Nominator and Hedberg Public Library Director, Brian McCormick.
Good afternoon. This is a busy day for me with volunteers because we've got this, and we got our Friends Board meeting, and we have our Friends Appreciation for the volunteers. So I've got a very long night, very busy with the volunteers, and I mean, the Hedberg Public Library could not do what it does for this community without our volunteers. So I've been there 15 years, and I've always been amazed at the hours that our volunteers put in, whether it's working at the ground floor coffee shop or helping shelf read, helping with programs, just, many different opportunities to help out. So we nominated Lois Smith. There she is. Lois has been with the library for many years. I won't say how many because it escapes my mind, but I know it's been a while. But what I really enjoy about having Lois volunteer is she's at the coffee shop, and whenever she is there, I always make sure to go out and talk to her and visit with her, because I'd like to think that my talking to her makes her day a little bit brighter, but I do know that she makes mine much brighter as well, because I know she enjoys the work that she's doing, and I love visiting with her and with many of the other volunteers. So with that, Lois has done a great job for us, and I nominated her for Volunteer of the Year for the library. So Lois, if you'll come up here. If you'd like to say a couple words, you could. No, she doesn't want to. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was a surprise. All I can say is I love the library, and I tell friends and strangers, please come down and see our beautiful library.
And now here to introduce the 2022 Parks and Recreation Volunteers of the Year, their staff nominator, Janet McLean of the Janesville Senior Center.
Well, this year I nominated a team that works down at our senior center. For those of you who've not been down there, we have a ceramics room and we go through quite a few molds. And I needed someone to pour the molds, and they stepped up to the plate, and that was Ed Bandy and George Bolter. Ed, thank you so much. I don't think Ed had in his repertoire of how to pour ceramic molds, and neither did George. So for seniors to go to YouTube and figure it out, they have perfected the job perfectly, and I thank you. George and Ed are kind of fix-it guys, so when we need things fixed, they fix it. Our compressor broke, they fix that. Also, our molds, we have quite a few molds if you've been down there, shelves and shelves of them, and they perfected it. They labeled every single one of those molds, and I put them into the J drive, so we can actually get to the molds fast enough so we know where to go to get them. Also, they put in in the sink, tech services came in and put in a filter that filters the paint and the slip so it doesn't get clogged up the drain. And I trained them how to clean the filter so I don't have to clean it anymore. So I thank you, because it's a very messy job when they do that. But I do want to thank them. Also, some of the molds can be 40 pounds a piece, so you have to be pretty strong to lift them, and I thank them because as he's nodding over there, yep, the molds are very heavy, so I want to thank them again. And they've been doing it for 5 years, so I appreciate that so much. And they help us out quite a bit. So I want to thank them as a team. Ed, do you want to come up? Ed, did you want to come up and say anything? George would have been here, but he went to Tennessee. So he'll be back next week.
Thank you there for the acknowledgement. And as far as service to others, always come back to yourself in various forms, and which is very rewarding as far as I'm concerned. And the idea that we have a senior center here in Janesville to provide basically, to me, the social aspect that's so very badly needed as we grow older, because right now I'm 83, heading for 84 shortly, and this makes a big difference in my life. So Senior Center is definitely there for the elderly and anyone else that wishes to pick up the volunteer thing and join in. Thank you.
And another congratulations then to George and Ed. Certainly both very deserving. Announcing this year's Public Safety Volunteer of the Year, we have from the JPD, Deputy Chief Todd Kleisner, our staff nominator.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am nominating the Public Safety Volunteer of the Year, and that's going to be Mr. Dan Jackson. For those of you that don't know Dan, he's the Associate Principal at Marshall Middle School here in Janesville, and he serves as a chairperson for the African American Liaison Advisory Committee for the Janesville Police Department. He's also served on committees within the city to determine how to allocate the ARP funding, as well as the Pay It Forward grant program. Mr. Jackson's very engaged in the community. He volunteers his time to do police ride-alongs with our officers to gain a better understanding how we as officers do our job. He encourages other members of the community to do the same. When he chairs the AALAC committee members, he basically leads those meetings. We hold those bi-monthly. And we typically come together and find topics to discuss, whether it's police training or what have you, amongst the committee members. This is all in an effort to help build trust with our community and our community of color. I'd also like to acknowledge that Dan is also very active with our police recruitment program. He helped us out with doing new police officer interviews recently, and is really trying to build those relationships with students of color at the middle school level. So it was my honor to nominate Mr. Dan Jackson for this award. Dan?
Deputy Chief, thank you very much. It's definitely an honor to be here. And as many others said, this was definitely a surprise. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. But more importantly, I'm grateful of the work that the JPD does in protecting and serving this community. Myself, I can't imagine some of the things they go through. You know, I go on ride-alongs. I try to experience some of the things, but we're truly blessed in this community to have such a progressive police department. And part of our job as the African Liaison Advisory Committee is to share some of that great work that's being done and try to bridge that gap. Because as you may be aware of, in this nation, being a police officer isn't always a popular thing. And so we're trying to bridge that gap to make this community aware of the great things that are going on. And I'm just appreciative of the police department and all the work they do. So this is an honor to be here. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Dan, and thank you to all of our volunteers of the year. It's always incredible to hear and read all your great work in those staff nominations. Today's last distinction is a new honor to the recognition program. The Park Place Partner is to be awarded by the city to an individual whose efforts and tenured volunteer partnership with our organization has left a lasting community impact worthy of special recognition. Here to present his nominee and the city's inaugural Park Place partner, City Manager Mark Freitag.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it's wonderful to have this special event today and to return to an in-person attendance and outside of the craziness of COVID-19 and all that brought over the past 2 years. What I did want to share is that, where did this idea come from? And so, looking back on my military career as I came to Janesville, one of the things that we did at Fort Hood on an annual basis was we recognized a member of one of the 4 surrounding communities that had a lasting and contributing effect on the soldiers and the families that were stationed at Fort Hood. And they called the program the Good Neighbor Program. And so every year there would be a special, dinner. We can't afford the dinner, but, we'll do the best we can here today with our volunteer ceremony. But we would recognize somebody who made lasting contributions to what was going on at Fort Hood. Their pictures were up on the walls, and there was just this wonderful history of these folks that made such a significant contribution to the soldiers and the families at Fort Hood. And so, as I came on board, you can go in my office on my whiteboard. I got a list of things that I've wanted to do since I've been here, and this was listed up there as the Good Neighbor Program. And so when I pitched that idea to Nick as part of our volunteer program today, he's the one who came up with this name, the Park Place Partner. He came up with the criteria, and I think it's a great tradition to start in Janesville this year, post-COVID, kind of a new chapter on life in Janesville, and something that I hope that we continue in the years to come. But that's where this thing got started, and I want to make sure everybody understood that. And I would tell you that, it was my absolute honor to write this recommendation and this nomination. But, more importantly, when I thought about who should be our first Park Place partner, this individual came to mind immediately. And it's somebody that I met when I first got here. I met a lot of folks those first couple weeks as they rotated in and out to, come and talk to the new city manager. And that was Tom Stohara. Tom Stohara is going to be recognized as our very, very first Park Place partner. And I'm going to read the nomination for you, but it's been an absolute pleasure to work with and serve this community with Tom over the past 8+ years. And so I'll read the nomination. Tom Stohara's exemplary efforts and tenured volunteer partnership with the city have truly left a lasting impact on the community. Following service in Vietnam with the U.S. Air Force, Tom returned to Wisconsin to continue his education, begin his professional career, and provide for his family. In 1981, he was elected to the Janesville City Council and served for 19 years. Think about that, folks, 19 years, including 2 terms as its president, and becoming the longest continuously serving council member in the history of the city. During this time, the city completed the park system walkways and trails, the youth sports facility, the senior center, and the Hedberg Public Library. Tom has been extremely active in veterans activities in Janesville and is a member of the Vietnam Veterans of America, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the Janesville Patriotic Society, holding various officer positions in these organizations over the years. His personal and passionate leadership led to the naming of the Bell Richard Bridge across the Rock River on Crosby Avenue and the creation of the Veterans Walkway and Veterans Plaza in Traxler Park. In his role as the president of the Janesville Patriotic Society, Tom coordinates with the city to place U.S. flags on the light poles lining our community's gateways during the spring, summer, and fall each year. Every Memorial Day, he coordinates the Oak Hill Cemetery Remembrance Ceremony, the city's parade through the downtown and out to Traxler Park, and the Community Remembrance Ceremony. Annually on the 3rd Friday of September, Tom coordinates the POW MIA Remembrance Ceremony. And finally, every Veterans Day, Tom coordinates the community's Veterans Ceremony at Veterans Plaza or the Warming House in Traxler Park, depending upon our weather conditions. Tom Stohara is a city and community volunteer who has made lasting impacts over the past 40 years and is without question a Park Place partner. I am proud to know Tom. When I asked him why he does it, he simply replied, "I care about Janesville. I want to make it a better place to live and to raise a family." Tom is the kind of Park Place partner Janesville wants and, most importantly, needs. And so, Tom, would like to bring you forward and give you an opportunity for some remarks. We got all afternoon, Tom. You're good.
Grizzly bears up here working. Boy, 40 years sure goes by fast. This room has really changed since I was last here about 2001, and it's been for an improvement. I hope they replaced the refrigerator, because when I was here for the 19 years, I don't think anybody ever cleaned it. And so, anyway, I got to thank a lot of people, because what I've done and what I've tried to do, I could never have done it myself. I want to thank my wife, who puts up with me all the time, my being away from home. I want to thank all the veterans who chip in whenever I ask for volunteers. You can't do these veterans projects by yourself. And I have to thank the city residents and the citizens of Janesville who had confidence in my leadership for 19 years to continue to elect me to the council. I could go on for another year, but I think I'm going to stop there. I want to thank Colonel Freitag for his wonderful nomination, and I want to thank the City Parks and Recreation Department for everything they've done to help the veterans do our projects and make our work a success in recognizing the veterans' contributions to the city. I thank you very much.
Congratulations, Tom. Again, just a huge thank you for your service, for your commitment to our city, to our mission, and to Janesville. It is now everybody's favorite portion of this program, where I invite other city volunteers in attendance today to share their stories and experiences for recognition. This can be accounts of any notable achievements or projects you would like to highlight. And I'd also like to invite city staff in attendance to add in any special acknowledgements they would like to make at this time. I have a cordless microphone here, so don't be shy. If you just want to raise your hand to share with us today, I will make my way over to you. And I see Shelley starting us off in the back.
Sometimes the mic makes me too loud. On behalf of the Recreation Division, I just want to thank all of the volunteers that help us from all of the programs and events that Nick listed. The Senior Center volunteers, we could not do it without you guys. And I see Councilmember Williams in the room, so I have to give him props because not only does he serve the City Council, but Councilmember Williams is regularly at our large-scale public events. I don't even need to contact him. He comes out there, knows we need extra hands, and is there and is willing to do anything that we need, whether it be fixing electrical cords, running cookies out to volunteers, unlocking a porta potty, you name it, he's there. The Jolly Jingle Parade, the Enchanted Forest every night, most recently at the Bunny at the Square, helping us with long lines. But I certainly appreciate all volunteers, but felt inclined to give Councilmember Williams that acknowledgement.
Thank you, Shelley. Anybody else wishing to speak? City Manager Freitag.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to welcome you all, but I just wanted to, just say a few comments about our volunteers, our community volunteers. And that is that, this city doesn't operate without volunteers. It's just as simple as that. We know that we have over 600 volunteers that support our efforts and allow the city to deliver services, programs, and infrastructure to this community. And that's a wonderful thing about Janesville is a giving community. I had a chance to talk to a consultant yesterday for the Boys and Girls Club, and the question was, tell me one super positive thing about Janesville. And I said, Janesville is a giving community. They give of their time, they give of their financial resources, their money, they give of themselves to make this community a better place to live, work, play, to raise a family, to retire, to enjoy being part of the community of choice. And so I just want to say thank you to the community for stepping up for that call to serve. And so, there are lots of opportunities out there. I encourage you to get involved, but most importantly, as your city manager, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I think barring anyone's additional hand raising, perhaps we all want to get outside and enjoy the beautiful sunshine. Oh. Do you mind if I just say one thing about the seniors? I do not. You're more than welcome. I don't want to go to the podium either. So. Well, here you are.
Thank you. Right, is it on? Okay, I'm Linda Clevin, and I'm with the Janesville Senior Center. I'm the programmer there, and I just wanted to point out, because I know we have some of our senior volunteers here, we have currently 59 volunteers at the Senior Center helping us out, leading the groups, volunteering as a reception desk volunteer or in the ceramic room. On a lot of different aspects, we have them helping out. And currently, for the last 3 months, we have had over 800 hours donated by those volunteers. And if you look at the independent sector, they give a value, a dollar amount that per hour that a volunteer's time is worth, and they have it right now at $28.54. And just for those over 800 hours that the Senior Center had, we're over $23,000 that they have saved by volunteering and helping us. So kudos to the Senior Center volunteers.
Thank you, Linda. And if anybody else would like to, otherwise we will wrap up today's ceremony. I certainly appreciate hearing and celebrating those experiences. Again, it's been said, but we have a wonderful team of volunteers who are invaluable. Before we end our remarks today, I'd like to invite anyone in attendance or perhaps watching, thanks to the help of JATV, who may not currently be volunteering or has an interest in returning to volunteer service with the city. Go ahead and visit our website at www.janesvillewi.gov/volunteer. There folks can find important information about volunteer opportunities and complete an online volunteer interest form, which will connect them with a city staff member who can answer any questions or connect them to opportunities. In closing, I'd like to thank one last time everybody for joining us today. I'd like to thank Alan and JATV for filming this event, all my wonderful coworkers in the city manager's office who helped make today possible. And on behalf of the entire city team, thank our terrific volunteers. As we look towards Janesville's bright future, we extend our sincere gratitude to you folks for joining us on that path. Please feel free to stay and enjoy some conversation and refreshments. I cannot pack on all of those apple fritters myself, so please. And be sure to take a few tokens of our appreciation, which you'll find on our tables and then on the table up front. Drive home safe, enjoy the beautiful sunshine, and have a wonderful evening, everyone.